Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Onepeg. In this video, we have another meta shift. And I know that I'm going to start sounding like a broken record with this, and I keep saying it's massively changing the meta, but it actually is. There has been an abundance of reliance on clerics. People have been saying that spells are too strong for wizards, bards are too strong. There was this issue with armor value and that being too strong. All of that stuff is being roped in, and it seems as though the devs are very, very actively trying to find more class balance so we get more diversity inside of the dungeon, and they're making big steps. There are a couple of question marks with this, and I did go and get some clarification, but there is one more looming question mark that I will get to as we go through this bulleted list. Right now, the patch is going on as of this moment. It just started. The game will be down for about 2 hours. You guys will be able to get there and play it. But I just want to kind of give you guys an idea of what you're in for moving forward and what's basically being tested as of this point. So I've moved my camera up into the corner up here. But this is, and there is a clarification as well with the wipe. For those of you that don't know, there's an early access wipe being held on Monday. This coming Monday, the game is going to wipe. All character levels, items, gold, and skills will be reset. Everybody is being wiped out. But it was believed that the character names were also going to be reset, but they aren't. SDF actually clarified this, so I guess there was a little bit of confusion because we had been told by admins of the Discord that all the character names were going to, but I guess they're not. Because he says, please note your character names will not be reset. So whichever one of you currently has the Onepeg name, just know that I see you. You son of a... Healing potions have been rebalanced. I asked Harry about this, and they said that they weren't very fond of the idea of a quote-unquote backpack pharmacy, and they wanted people to play more strategically and be forced into using things like healing shrines a bit more often. The time duration of potions has been increased from 20 seconds to 45 seconds, and healing potions no longer stack. Meaning, and they don't mean stacking because they used to stack up to 3. What they mean is that originally, up through till now, you could drink different grades of potions, and those potions would heal you at the same time. So you could drink a gray, a white, and a green, and have all 3 of those healing you simultaneously because they were different grades of quality. That is no more. Now they're going to overwrite each other. So you can drink a normal healing pot, and then you would have to work through its entire duration and then focus on the next one. This is going to make people die a lot more, and there's more with this as well. Bandages have been rebalanced. All bandages now heal 15 recoverable health on use, meaning that it no longer will heal you for non-recoverable health. Higher tier bandages take a shorter time to apply, much like how the larger or better surgical kits work. So this is another huge change. Bandages would just heal you for 15 HP. Now it's recoverable health or gray health. You know, that part of the HP bar that kind of like gets grayed out, but you could sit and rest and gain it back slowly over time. Bandages will only give you back a portion of that health now, not just any health. So that is hugely different than what it used to be. Surgical kits take longer to apply across all tiers. So now there's a lot more downtime. You have to be much more careful when you apply them. It's also going to make surgical kits extremely valuable. Hand crossbow damage decreases dramatically the further the bolt travels before hitting a target. So one of the complaints that people were having was that hand crossbows were incredibly lethal. There wasn't a lot of damage fall off. It would hit you as if you were using a longbow. That change, I think, makes an awful lot of sense. A hand crossbow shouldn't be hitting for the same percentage of its overall damage as something like a windlass, which is made for sieging. Hand crossbow movement speed penalty changed from -18 to -20. So if you're holding a hand crossbow, it's going to make you a bit slower. Throwing knives projectile speed slightly increased, which is good. Hunting traps no longer require a skill check when disarming. I think that this is an important change, and I think this is a good one, because the initial damage of stepping into a hunting trap now has been jacked way up. They hurt really bad. Even like a crappy starter gray one hurts really bad when you step into it. If you step into a blue trap, it's pretty much a death sentence because the damage over time that is applied on that is crazy, crazy high. Hunting traps not requiring a skill check when disarming them is a really, really good thing, I think, especially now that Rangers have been brought back in at this moment. There's a lot more Rangers playing now. Longbow is a lot more lethal than it used to be. Crossbows are a lot more lethal than they used to be. This is an important change, and I think it makes sense. Now, this is the big one. Attribute bonus ratio of all spells has been adjusted to 50%, and attribute bonus ratio of all shield magic has been adjusted to 50%. Now, these are the biggest nerfs that we've seen in this game in a long time, probably since the beginning. Now, what I want to do is show you guys this page on the wiki, and I'm going to blow this up a little bit so that everybody can see it. So right here, we have what is called Magic Power Bonus. Each point of will that is applied to your character increases the amount of magical power that you have as a caster based on this curve. The point of this is that this is being curbed. So instead of this curve tracking like this as it is, it's going to track at half this height. And that is a massive, massive difference. So right now, and I took some notes, 15 points of will is a 0 damage bonus. 25 points of will is 30% damage increase. 40 points is 60. 50 points is 70. That's the curve. Now it would change to 15, 30, and 35. That means that for every point of will on your caster, on your wizard, or the spells that you're casting as your clerics, or stuff like Holy Strike, right? Divine Strike, the lightning bolt from fucking God that would blast somebody for unspeakable amounts of damage, Judgment, Smite, all of these, Ignite, Magic Missile, all of these abilities that dealt damage and or did some amount of healing for casters, and I want to make this clear, it's casters only, has nothing to do with rogues and weak point attacks or poison being applied or any of that other stuff. It's solely based on spells being cast, okay? That plus magical damage is going to be halved, and this is per Terry. Now, the question mark here is whether or not things like plus magical damage or plus true magical damage would also be affected, and that is what we don't know. The belief, and I say this with the caveat of the word belief because right now the devs are asleep. And obviously, we'd be able to see this once we get into the game in a couple of hours and try and test it out on dummies or whatever, but we really don't know unless we get confirmation. The belief is that plus magical damage and plus true magical damage are also going to be affected by this, and that would also be halved, okay? So I want to make that very clear. This also could mean that plus healing gear that you would see for stuff like a warlock would also be halved. This changes things drastically. Wizards were very happy in the very beginning of the game. Wizards are very happy because now at gray level quality, you have a lot of extra spell damage with your starting spell staff, and spell damage seems like it ramps really well. However, on the upper end, when you're at stuff like plus 20, plus 25, plus 29, I ran into a wizard that had plus 29 spell damage, and a whole bunch of will being one-shot by a fireball or being one-shot by zap does not feel great when a tier 1 spell is hitting you for your entire HP bar. This would rope this in significantly to where now you're looking at something like 2 or 3 hits from a very, very decked out wizard using zap in order to be able to kill you. Again, very decked out wizard. What this also changes, though, is stuff like needing clerics as a heal bot is not going to do nearly as much as it once did. Heals from clerics are going to start feeling pretty weak until you get really, really geared, and it definitely changes how something like a cleric would be played. So this is going to be a very interesting and likely very controversial thing when it comes to the current meta of Dark and Darker. What's interesting about this is clerics will still likely be very desired in parties because they're the only real heal bot class that you have. And once druids get initiated into the game, I think that will change the meta a bit. Also, because hopefully they have some nature magic, there'll be some heals involved. And I also know that rangers are being looked at as having skills that could also do some like nature-based healing for party members. That's something that Terry talked about in prior Q&A sessions that we did. This changes things a lot. But back to the patch notes. Wizards' Fireball splash damage has been increased by 5. That's actually a good change for Wizards because Fireball felt incredibly weak unless you were landing direct hits. Wizards' Ice Bolt damage increased by 5. Most Wizards don't use Ice Bolt unless it's against PvE and they're running 10 spell. But having its damage increase is pretty good. It's just a really slow-moving spell and doesn't really have a lot of utility. So I'd like to see them do more with this if they could. Maybe make it more like a nice spike and have it get a little bit faster travel time or something. Wizards Arcane Shield absorb amount reduced from 35 to 20. So this is also very interesting. There's a late game meta change where once people have a lot of knowledge and whatnot, they're not using things like Quick Chant anymore. They use Reactive Shield instead to try and give them a little bit more tank ability, which is kind of cool. But I like this. It kind of ropes it in a bit more. Movement speed and action speed reduction due to Frostbite have been changed from 15% to 20%. So again, giving the Frostbolt idea a bit more love. Frostbite being applied by Ice Shield, Ice Armor, which is also a wizard ability, or Ice Bolt. That would slow them by even more, which again gives it more utility, potentially brings it in so maybe people consider using it, which would be cool. A new hand crossbow mastery perk has been added for the Rogue. So now Rogues have the option of being able to use hand crossbows, again, now that the damage associated with them has been roped in a bit. I like this change. I think that's good. And then lastly, High Roller Dungeon entrance ante is lowered to 50 gold until the wipe. Now, what I did is I recorded a whole bunch of stats in my own like little admin Discord chat just to be able to compare once the game goes live. I will do a patch impressions thing once we can actually get back into the game and start like running around, and I'll let you guys know what I think. Anyway, for those of you that enjoyed this and enjoy my content, if you would be so kind as to sub the channel, if you're not already a sub, that would be amazing. As always, I am live over at twitch.tv/onepeg. You guys can come and check me out. I'm normally live around 6 or 7 a.m. Eastern Standard, but I was dealing with some family stuff today, so we had to do with that, but I had time to be able to put this video up for you all. Thank you guys so very much for lending me your eyeballs. I love you all. You guys are amazing. Thank you for all the love on the streams lately. You have no idea. Y'all are changing my life. You guys are fantastic. I love you, and I will see you in the next one, okay? Peace.